Puerto Rico, we call ourselves Boricua.
Boricua!
Honoring the vibrant
Yo
spirit
soy
of our
Boricua,
people. When you
pa' que
experience
tú
our
lo
own, you'll find
sepas.
that
Is that right? Get it. Ha. Ba. Duru, dura. What is going on, everybody? It is another episode of Act Up with me, Alana J, your host with the most, in the studio, Bravery Studios, New Jersey's #1 podcast recording studio. And today's gonna be a little different because I'm solo dolo in here. I'm so lonely. No, I'm just kidding. I have all of you. And I have Marv in the booth, who is going to give me the assist with the beginning of today's episode. I'm going to play my own game. I'm going to play my game. It is called Random. Marv's got 1 minute on the clock. We're going to say some words. All right. You already know what time it is. Marv is going to give me, the tables have turned. Hi, Marv. Say hi, Marv.
Hi, Marv.
How are you doing today, Marv?
I'm doing pretty swell, Alana J.
That's excellent. I'm so happy to hear that. It's a great day. I got some cardio in today.
Hey.
I'm ready to pump it. Pump it. And Marv is going to pump out these words. And I'm going to say some things. I don't know what's going to happen. Are we ready? I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Hit it.
3, 2. Dorm.
Rutgers.
Jet.
Jeff?
Jets.
Jet. Ooh, Jeff Bezos.
Mole.
My face.
Lid.
Lit.
Lid.
Lid. Pringles.
Outer.
Cocaine.
Suitcase.
Clothing.
Break.
Car.
Job.
Whack.
Literature.
Shakespeare.
Importance.
Me.
Facts.
Printer.
Splurge.
Words.
Splurge.
Birds.
Splurge.
Splurge. Ooh, McDonald's.
Pavement.
Pavement.
Yes.
Walking.
Redundancy.
Again.
Exemption.
Cord.
Bus.
Driver.
Majority.
Ooh, state.
Sermon.
Preacher. I did it. Some of those, I was like, am I hearing what I think I'm hearing? Was it pavement?
Yeah. My
Okay.
pronunciations are atrocious.
What? Your pronunciations?
You're proving my point.
I have some exercises to help you fix that, Marv.
Oh, really? Oh, we gotta
Yeah.
talk after the
We
show.
could do some articulation. You got to work on your diction, literally.
Yeah.
Diction, yeah.
I'm with it.
Actors know what it is. That was a lot. That wasn't even correct. Some of that was correct. It's fine. It's all good. We acting up, okay? Making sounds and whatnot. So on today's episode, I have decided to discuss, to explore, to elaborate on 5 of my most defining moments in my career so far, and some lessons, yay! And some lessons that I have learned from those moments. So, without further ado, one of my most defining moments in my entertainment career so far was the moment I decided I wanted nothing to do with entertainment. I know. Ironic. The plot shall thicken. Now, this is the story. This is a story all about how. So, y'all, my first job out of college was working for The Maury Povich Show. Do we remember this show? This was, after Oprah came off the air, Maury was the #1 daytime talk show, y'all. Isn't that crazy? Paternity was #1 in the country. That is what we love to watch. I was a production assistant for The Maury Show. And people are like, okay, so what did you do? And the real question should be, what didn't I do? What didn't I do? I was a part-time therapist, a travel agent, a personal shopper for these guests. And yes, y'all, yes, the guests that you see on The Maury Show are real people. They are not actors. They are not. I know. Insane. People always assume they got to be actors. No, they're not. These are real people. This is how it works. I'm going to break it down really quickly. So you would watch an episode of Maury. At the end of the show, there'd be a question. There'd be a prompt. Like, do you have a wild and out of control teen and want to get her in line? Call The Maury Show, and we are going to fix her up real good. You know, something like that. That's not exactly what the ads read, but it was something to that effect. So people would call in, real people. They would call in. The interns would write all their information down. Then I would call these people back. And that is how we would source our guests for the show. And I was actually pretty good at that job. I was really good. When I quit, they told me, they were like, you're really good at identifying guests. You're really good with the guests. And this actually was my downfall. This was my downfall, y'all, working for The Maury Show. Because I was so good with the guests, these people had to trust me like I was their best friend, okay? They had to trust me. They had to love me, because why else would they come all the way across the country from Mobile, Alabama or wherever to Stamford, Connecticut? No, it was not being filmed in New York at the time. People thought they were going to New York. They weren't. They were going to Connecticut, okay? Why else would they come all the way across the country to exploit themselves on national television? They had to trust me. They had to trust me. So I was really good at that. I was really good at getting the guests to trust me and keeping them locked in for the show. Because guess what? If they dropped out of the show, guess whose fault it was? Mine. It was mine, and I'd be fired. I'd be fired. Yes. So I didn't get fired. I fired myself. So why do I say that being so invested? Why do I say that being so invested in the guests was my downfall? I'll tell you why. Again, people were coming across the country to kind of sometimes humiliate themselves on national television. All right. And me, as a very empathetic person, I felt for them. I felt for these people, you know? We were besties for a moment in time till they booked The Maury Show, till they got back home, you know? So essentially, when I quit, my boss told me, she was like, yeah, you are great with the guests. And, you know, in this job, you kind of have to be like a doctor. And you have to be able to desensitize yourself from them, you know? And that was just not something that I could do. So I quit. And that was when I realized I wanted nothing to do with entertainment. Specifically with reality entertainment, with reality TV. So, yeah. I put in my 2 weeks. They said, no thanks. You can go home today. And I did. And I took my ottoman with me that I bought with my Maury credit card. Oh my goodness. I'm Catholic. I snitch on myself. I had to snitch on myself. It's what we do. It's what we do. Confession, reconciliation. You know what I'm saying? All right. So that was defining moment number 1. Defining moment number 2 on my journey, I would say, is when I made the decision to start acting. I know. Kind of ironic from number 1. I get it. We're going to break it down quickly, briefly, succinctly, if you will. So the time between when I quit Maury and when I decided to start acting, I did a little stint in corporate America. All right? I did a little stint. I did some time in the cubicles. All right? I did a little time, a little cubicle time. All right? First, I worked I was a receptionist at a company called Yodel. Loved it. Loved working there. But guess what? I applied for 3 full-time jobs there. They didn't hire me for a single one of them. Rejection is God's protection. You know, I wanted it. It wasn't for me. It's all good. It's all good. If a door doesn't open for you, don't force it. It is what it is. It's going to be all right. You're going to realign. You're going to find your way, which is what we did. So, did my little stint, right? I did some time in sales. I'm literally talking about corporate America like it's prison. I mean, it felt that way. I did some time in sales. I was working for a tech-specific staffing firm, which was very similar to what my father, may he rest in peace, it's very similar to what he did. My dad was a headhunter. He would place people like at Microsoft, like CTOs, CFOs, these high-level, C-level executives. He would place these people and make a shit ton of money off of their salary. Sweet gig. Haha, right? Yeah. So, you know, ultimately I was like, who am I doing this for? Who am I doing this for? Am I doing this because I really want to do this? Is money enough of a reason for me to do something? Is it? It wasn't. It turns out it was not enough of a motive for me to do something that didn't fuel my soul. So I realized at that job in sales, when was the last time that I was happy? When was the last time that I was truly happy? And that so happened to be, I realized that the times in my life where I was the happiest were the times in my life where I was doing something creative, whether it was performing, whether it was radio. That's what my soul needed. So what did I do? I quit the job that could have made me a lot of money, could have been making six figures in a very short amount of time. It's all good. Quit the job, put an apron back on because I was 12 years a server throughout college and thereafter. I was always in and out of the service industry, getting that quick dopamine fix of that tip money. Go home with $300 in cash. Spend $100 at the bar. It was dumb. If I had that money right now, honey, we would be like rolling in a Roth IRA. I don't know what that is. Anyway, I do. It's fine. So we went back to waiting tables. That's what we did. And when we did that, we realized that we gravitated towards people who were performers. I gravitated towards the actors, people at my job. I was working at a restaurant in Soho called Lure. Shout out to Lure. I love you dearly. The food is delicious. Anyway, I was working at Lure. It was cute. Celebrity hangout. I got to serve Bon Jovi in his house. Crazy. I catered an event in Bon Jovi's apartment. Wild. Anyway, I waited on Lana Del Rey, Taraji P. Henson, one of the Jonases. He didn't tip very well. Anyway, doesn't matter. So, celebrity type hangout, right? I'm working there, and a lot of people would just assume that I was an actor. Waiter, actor, stigma, makes sense. And I was like, you know what? What else am I doing besides slinging this tempura shrimp and these lemon drop martinis? What else am I doing but shucking and I wasn't shucking oysters, but I was slinging oysters, little Beau Soleil all day. If you know, you know. I don't like oysters. I almost threw up the first time I had a raw oyster, but that's besides the point. So I decided, you know what? I'm on this self-discovery journey. I was about 25 at the time, really upset that I didn't know who I was and what I wanted. I was like, screw it. I'm going to take an acting class. I signed up to be interviewed for this program at a school, Stella Adler's School of Acting. And when I was there, I saw a quote in the dude who interviewed me's room. I saw a quote in his room that said, growth as an actor and as a human are synonymous. Boom, bango, bongo. I knew right then and there I was in the right place because that's all I wanted to freaking do. All I wanted to freaking do was grow and become the best version of myself. So boom, I started taking that acting class at Stella Adler and I just kept taking mother-sucking classes. I did not stop taking classes. Always in a class. I did the Stella Adler. Then I got to work with Feel However You Do About Him. I had no issues with this man, but I got to take class with James Franco. He had a studio called Studio 4. I eventually got to shoot a movie under his supervision. It was really cool. And after there was really nowhere left for me to go in that school, I was like, what do I do now? I did everything I can do in this school. What's next? And that's number 3. I'm going to tell you. All right, so number 3 on my list of defining moments in my career was we're talking, what am I doing? I'm going to start that back. Yay! Number 3 on my list of the most defining moments in my career so far is the manifestation of a little digital series called Too Grown. That is TWO, grown, all right? Because we was too grown. Ooh, girl, you too grown for that. And there was 2 of us, all right? Genius. I know. We were genii. I feel like the plural of genius should be genii. I don't know who to take that up with, but let me know. Let me know in the comments. Okay, so this is a full circle moment. This is actually this is actually a full circle moment. This is actually going to go back to moment number 1. Now, after I finished these acting classes and did this movie in this filmmaking masterclass with James Franco, which you can find on Amazon. It's called Sleepaway Slasher. It's a movie, y'all. It's interesting. You've been warned. So it's definitely available on Amazon. I don't know where else. Google it. You can find it very quickly. So after I finished these classes, I realized, okay, I feel like there's 2 ways to get into this industry, right? The acting entertainment industry. There's the front door, which is auditioning, being a Nepo baby. Those are usually the two ways that you get there. The other way in is the back door. And now that's your Issa Rae's, right? That's your Broad Cities, your Alana Glazer and Abby. Oh my God, Jacobson. I think it's Jacobson. Oh my God, Abby, I'm so sorry. I love you. So there's the back door, right? There's creating your own work. And what I realized while I was beginning was that a lot of the roles I was getting called in for were pretty sexual, very hypersexual roles. And yo, I wanted to be funny. I was like, I feel like I'm pretty funny. I wasn't doing stand-up yet. I wasn't doing comedy yet. I had dabbled in some improv at the time. But I was like, I want to be funny on camera. I don't want to just be like stripping all the time, you know? I wasn't stripping all the time. That just happened once. Shout out to White Paint. Amazing film. So I reconnected with one of the girls that I worked with at Maury, Jordan. She was a production assistant while I was also a production assistant. We stayed in contact over the years after I left Maury. She started acting. I started acting. One day we met up for tea and we were like, we want to make our own thing. Boom. Within a week, the idea was born. Now, basically, Two Grown was essentially Broad City in Harlem with 2 women of color instead of 2 non-women of color. That's pretty much what the thesis was. And yeah, we shot a trailer before we even had any scripts. That was the first thing that we did. We kind of worked backwards. We shot a trailer and put that out into the universe, and people responded to it like, oh my God, this looks so funny. And we realized, all right, it's time to do this. So in creating our own work, fast forward, we did season 1 all by ourselves, all out of pocket, all with resources from our own network. Then fast forward to season 2, we get connected with BET. BET helps us produce a season 2. And essentially, I effectively made one of my dreams come true. Which was to create my own work with someone else's money. Hey, with someone else's money. I was very emotionally connected to that sentiment, so I had to put it in a song. And I learned a lot from that experience. I learned how to advocate for myself. I learned how to set boundaries. I learned that sometimes when you set boundaries, people will remove themselves from your life, and that's okay. I learned a lot. I learned that I can do it. Point blank, period. Honestly, that's it. I don't really got nothing else to say about that. You know, simply by taking the next right action, simply by telling the universe this is what I want to do, it brought me to a place where I was able to do exactly what I wanted to do on someone else's dime. And that's it. That's it right there. That's it. I got nothing left for that. All right, defining moment number 4 of my trajectory so far. I gotta say, this happened concurrently with 3 and 2, but it was getting sober. Getting sober, y'all. Getting sober. Now, I just have to say this about my whole story as an artist on my creative trajectory. It is one of alignment and taking the next right action. Again, I did not think I was going to be doing any of the things that I am doing with my life today for numerous reasons. Self-esteem, you know, we didn't think we was cute. Bump that. We're beautiful. It's true. Okay. Shout out to James Blunt.
Yes.
I don't know what your spiritual affiliations are, but for me, it's the present. It's the present because I believe that the present is filled with blessings. It's filled with opportunity if we pay attention. If we pay attention, we have to be in the present and pay attention in the present. And that is the greatest gift of all, in my opinion. And pretty much how I've maneuvered as an artist is just paying attention to what the universe is putting in front of me, y'all. So while I was piggybacking real quick, while I was taking acting classes, the universe was putting sober people in my life. A couple of my acting teachers were sober. Okay. And in the back of my mind, I was at a place where I was like, I think I might need to stop drinking. Like, if you're Googling AA meetings, you probably belong in an AA meeting. I'm just saying. Fun fact. Okay. You're welcome. Take that home with you. So I was at a place in my life where I felt like my demons were inhibiting me and the jig was about to be up. We're going to get a little deep, y'all. We're going to get a little deep. Why exactly did I need to stop drinking? I'm going to tell you guys why. I got to a place in my life where I effectively no longer trusted myself to live alone. I was living in Brooklyn at the time. Not when I got sober, but when I knew, like, this is getting bad. There was one night specifically where it was a long night, y'all. It was a long night. I started with a cousin's birthday. Then my cousin's birthday dinner went to a club. Then from that club, I met up with an acting friend. But then my acting friend took too long. So I stopped at a bar by myself and got a couple shots of whiskey before I met up with him at another restaurant. Then we wound up at PhD at the Dream Hotel. And then I woke up and my room was a disaster. Anyway, I'm not going to get too nitty gritty into the details, but basically there was vomit. It wasn't cute. You know, I was like, what happened? I had no idea how I got home. And that was one of the first instances where I was just like, this is bad. This is bad. Like, my blinds in my room were closed. I never closed my blinds in my room. Had absolutely no recollection how I got from the Dream Hotel to my place in Brooklyn, which was pretty far. It was pretty far. So, yeah, that was one of the oh shit moments for me. What I really hope no woman ever has to feel, no person ever has to feel, is waking up knowing that something happened to them, to their physical body, feeling it, and having no idea what happened or whom the fuck it happened with. That is a feeling that I wish upon no one. And that was a feeling that I experienced numerous times during my dark ages, we'll call them. And I basically joke around and say I spent between 2007 and 2017 in a blackout. That's like half true. But yeah, that was a feeling that really brought me to my knees. And it was insanity, really. It was insanity because these things would happen when I would drink, because I don't know if I would dissociate or what have you, but I wouldn't remember shit. I wouldn't remember key moments in evenings until someone would explain them to me the next day. So again, I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't know. Dissociation, who knows? Whatever. But you know, it was that constant every weekend telling myself, this is not going to happen again. This is not going to happen again. This is not going to happen again. And every weekend it would happen again. And you're stuck in it. You get stuck in it. You're stuck in this vicious cycle of self-destruction, and you have no idea how to get out, because your solution is also the thing that keeps screwing you, you know? So it was a very vicious cycle for a very long time until one of my professors, I'm not going to say whom, one of my professors who also allowed me to use some of his equipment for Two Grown, I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I knew he was sober. And I said, hey, I think I got a problem. And he's like, all right, what's the problem? And I said, the drink. And he was like, all right, what are you doing tomorrow at noon? I said, nothing. He said, all right, I'll be at a meeting. If you want to come, see you there. If not, I won't. And that was May 8th, 2017. That was May 8th, 2017. And I have not had a drink ever since. Turn up. Turn up. So yes, that is a defining moment for me, specifically because I knew that this thing was in my way. Like, I could see the greatest version of myself. I saw her. I could visualize her. She was on stage with a microphone. This was before I even had a thought of doing stand-up comedy. I had visions. Of the greatest version of myself. And I knew that this thing was in the way of me attaining her. So I was like, you know what? It's time to get out of our own way. And that's what I did. Hey y'all, it's your girl Alana J, and I'm here to tell you about all the magic that is happening at Bravery Studios, New Jersey's #1 podcast recording studio. At Bravery Studios, you handle all the talking and they do the rest. That's it. Seriously, all you have to do is show up and shine. Yes, honey, work. With 3 different filming locations, there's a perfect space for every type of podcast. From cozy chats to high-energy shows, Bravery has got you covered. But wait, there's more. Bravery Studios hosts monthly events and podcast gatherings, perfect for networking and connecting with fellow creators. So what are you waiting for? Head over to Bravery Studios and let's make some podcast magic together. Do it. Come on. You know you want to. You know you want to. And number 5 on my list of most defining moments of my career so far is getting my freaking MFA, y'all. Is getting my freaking master of Fine Arts, because that's what it stands for. Getting my MFA in acting from Louisiana State University. Go Tigers! Yeah. Yeah, y'all. I'm a master. What's up? With a hard R. Don't get it twisted. So, I'm going to try to make this as succinct as possible. And I might just edit that part of me saying that out. Getting my master's is another example of alignment in my life and just taking the next right action. I always knew that I wanted to go back to school because, unlike a lot of people, I love school. I love school. I love learning. I love me a syllabi. Okay? I love it. I really, really do. Like, for example, when I went to college, I took forever to declare my majors because I was just so interested in every single class that I was taking. I was like, I want to do all of these. I want to do anthropology. I want to be a doctor, and I want to do Spanish. And my dean was like, well, you can't do that. So you got to pick something. And I wound up picking economics and journalism and media studies. Anyway, and I graduated with like a shit ton extra credits because I'm an overachiever. That's besides the point. They were really a waste of money. That's fine. It's fine. Joe Biden paid for them. It's okay. Joe Biden paid for those credits. Little flex. So I loved school. And I knew that I wanted to get another degree. I just wanted to make sure I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't want to have the same experience that I had in undergrad where I was just checking a box because it was a thing that I was supposed to do, right? And meanwhile, not really knowing what I want to do with the rest of my life. That's a lot on a 17-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So I did cocaine. No, I mean I did, but we're off that subject. We're off that subject. This is the new chapter. This is the next chapter. This is not the Snow Bunny Chronicles. This is not the Chronicles of Pocahontas. Okay? All right. So I always knew that I wanted to go back to school. Now, how I wound up going to LSU is quite simple and also full circle. I auditioned for a bunch of MFA programs back in 2017, shortly before I got sober, like 3 months before I got sober. I auditioned for a bunch of MFA programs because I really didn't know what else to do besides let me study more acting, right? Didn't get any offers back then, but I did get a call back. I got a lot of callbacks, actually. I got lots of callbacks, and LSU was one of the schools that gave me a callback. Now, I didn't get an offer back then, all good, because guess what? Had I gone to grad school back then, Too Grown never would have happened. Look at that. Look at God. Look at the universe. Had I gone to grad school when I intended on going to grad school on my time, I would have never got a contract with Viacom. You feel me? Trust the timing of your life. All right? So, pandemic happens. Fast forward to 2020. We're in the middle of the Punani. I am a part of the Hilarious show at this point. Shout out to Rachel La Loca. We are doing a virtual Hilarious show, a Hilarious at Home Girls show. I get on my little MailChimp that I started during Too Grown to blast all of my updates to industry folk and my network at large. I blast the Hilarious at Home Girls YouTube, right? I get a reply from none other than Nick Erickson, the head of the MFA of acting program at LSU. He hits me back saying, "Hey, Alana, love everything you've been doing." I'm paraphrasing. I didn't memorize the freaking email, but love everything you're doing. I'm getting creative about recruiting due to the freaking international global pandemic that we're dealing with. I know back then it wasn't a good time for you to go to grad school. Maybe now it is. Fast forward, I communicate with Nick. A few months later, I decide that in August 2021, I'm going to go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to get my MFA. That's how that happened, y'all. Again, alignment, taking the next right action. All I was doing was emailing the world, letting them know what I was up to. And that gift came back. A full tuition paid master's degree is what came back from me simply putting my energy out there. Crazy, loca, wild. So that's how it happened. And I can do like 8 hours of content on what happened while I got my degree. So we're going to save some of that. However, just in a nutshell, it was defining for me because for the first time in my life, for 2 years, I got to spend every single waking moment of my life dedicated to my craft, dedicated to acting, dedicated to teaching acting, dedicated to Shakespeare, dedicated to reading plays. Like, it was such a transformative experience. I was away from everything and everyone I knew for the first time in my life for 2 years. I grew so much. I have nothing. Listen, my voice teacher, Rocky, told the class, shout out to Rockford Sansom. Great name. Rockford. Isn't that a great fucking name? Rockford, you got a great name. Rockford. You really, really do. Rockford told us if you learn to Rockford told us if you learn to love Louisiana, Louisiana will love you. And it 1000% loved me. And I hope Louisiana felt loved by me while I was there doing hundreds of stand-up comedy shows, 6 plays, a solo show. I got to go abroad. Baton Rouge brought me to the UK for the first time in my life. What? Wild. Acting brought me to Europe for the first time in my life, y'all. That's crazy. I was raised by the Spice Girls. You know how badly I've been wanting to go to London? Shit. It's not all double-deckers and girl power over there. They got knives, too. But it's true. So that was super defining for me because I got to perform as an actor and a comedian in another country, 2 countries, England, Scotland. I got to perform in different states. I went to Atlanta. I went to Houston. Where else did I go? That's about it. But all over Louisiana. Oh, yeah. Well, I did eventually get to go to Hawaii. I eventually got to perform stand-up in Hawaii as a result of all the efforts I put in while I got my MFA, y'all. Yo, I would close a matinee play. I would miss the rap party, which low-key, I apologize. I apologize that I didn't go to the parties. But y'all, I would go from closing a matinee, drive an hour and a half to perform stand-up comedy at a stand-up show after literally vomiting my soul out on stage for 2 hours earlier that day. Like, I look back, the stamina that I had as an artist, insane. Like I said previously, you got to be an athlete to be a stage actor. That shit is no joke. So that was defining for me because it gave me the gift of shamelessness. It gave me the gift of having no fucking shame as an artist and as a performer. You're not going to tell me shit about my craft. You're not. You're simply just not. And I am forever better and changed because of the time that I spent in Louisiana. And I honestly miss it. I really do. I miss y'all. I miss y'all so much. Shout out to all my friends down there. You know who you are. Shout out to the comedy community. And shout out to all the Tigers. Go Tigers. Go Tigers. Cheer. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the little bits of my journey that I got to share with you. I hope you found it valuable and entertaining. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe, share with a friend, drop a comment. I want to talk to you. Can we talk? Can we talk? Can we? Because I would like that. I would like that a lot. Now, usually I end my episodes by asking my guests to name this chapter of their life, if this was their memoir. And I ask them to recommend how you can act up today. And I'm going to answer those. I'm going to answer those for you. Earlier when I first started the show, I know that I had some other answers. And guess what? Guess what? I have every right to change them. So where I'm at today with this chapter of my life, I'm going to call it Growing Pains. I'm going to call this chapter of my life Growing Pains. It's been interesting and emotional adjusting to life post grad school, readjust because I went from the Punani right into grad school and I kind of just didn't stop. I was working my ass off nonstop during the Punani. So I do feel as though there's like some residual like grief or even trauma from the Punani that has been coming to the surface. So that part, and also just integrating the person who I needed to be and was while in grad school and the person who I am now and am trying to create, integrating those two people has also been a little bit of a challenge. So for those reasons, I'm calling this chapter Growing Pains because, yeah, the only way out is through, boo. I don't know. What's that other quote? And the day came when the risk to remain in a bud outweighed the risk that it took to blossom. Something like that. Anais Nin. That's what I'm feeling right now. And I'm super duper grateful for everyone who has showed up for me on this journey, whether in the South or whether back home. So that's that. Growing Pains, baby. How can you act up today? This is what Alana J say. Alana J say that you can act up today by trusting yourself. I think that's very, very important. So much of what I discussed on this episode, the alignment, the taking the next right action, that was all just me trusting that I was doing the right thing for me in the moment. I think especially as artists, sometimes the worst advice we can take is proximity advice, which is the type of advice that we get from the people closest to us, usually family and friends. And everything that I discussed was all a byproduct of me just listening to myself and trusting that I was doing what was best for me. And now I'm at a place in my life where, one, I'm in too deep. I'm in way too deep to quit. I'm way too committed. I'm way too far in, and that's okay. I love that. It keeps me motivated and it keeps me going. But yeah, trust yourself, trust the process of whatever you're working on, and just know that everything is going to work itself out the way it is supposed to in the end for you. Trust yourself, son. And on that note, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode, watching this episode. Please, again, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, do all those things. I already love you, but I love you like even more, you know? Like para siempre, like forever and ever and ever. Please follow me. You can follow the podcast at Act Up with AJ. You can follow me at alanaj.tv. Please make sure to follow everyone who you've seen and heard from and learned from on the show thus far. Because all we want to do with you is learn, laugh, and level up. So, on that note, besos. Love you. Mean it. Bye.